So one of the most exciting forms of research for me personally is community-based participatory research, which is more commonly known as CBPR. And even though your text, and I'm presenting it here, says that it's qualitative research, CBPR, yes, it's more frequently used in qualitative research, but it is actually a process that you can use in any kind of research because CBPR is more about the general idea of kind of getting away from the researcher being the one that makes all the decisions about what you're going to study and how you're going to study it. And it really focuses on engaging members of a community. So if you are wanting to do a survey, for example, about the different social factors that contribute to homelessness in a given community, then CBPR would say that you can do many things. There's many alternatives. So you could involve people who are homeless or who have been homeless at one point, or who work with people who are homeless, to look at your design. Maybe you're trying to target people during the daytime and you learn that really the evening is the best way to target them. Or maybe there's a survey you want to ask and you forget to ask a couple of important questions, or you're asking them in a certain way that could be offensive. So CBPR looks at even the idea of having a coalition, and you have a coalition where that's the group that you meet with before you do a study, and they're with you every step of the way. So there are so many variations on what CBPR is that it's really not possible to cover it extensively, but CBPR is essentially about respecting the philosophy of the fact that members of a community should be involved in a meaningful way, and not just as consultants or in advisor roles, but as partners, as people that fully contribute, that help make decisions, that help determine how you do things, and not simply somebody you ask a question and then you can choose to disregard. It's important in CBPR to identify who you're going to involve. Again, what you define as community is going to vary from researcher to researcher, so it's extremely important to identify who they are. You're going to have a very different research study if all you do is involve social workers that work with the homeless versus if you involve people who are homeless themselves, and it takes their lead. It's a very humble approach in the sense that you are essentially recognizing that you don't know it all and you can't make all the decisions, and that the results of your research, particularly if you're looking at community-based issues such as homelessness and domestic violence, CBPR helps get buy-in, and it helps integrate the community into forming the solution, which means that that intervention or that program or those findings have a much better chance of being accepted and useful, and where you don't risk, or where you lessen the risk of just doing and publishing an article that sits in a journal somewhere and doesn't have any real use. So it's a really exciting process, but you can integrate this into quantitative research as well, and that's an extremely important point to remember. So hopefully you will consider this as you look at different opportunities for CBPR. I did share a video about a research center in Detroit that's one of the leading, if not the leading research center in the country about different types of CBPR research projects. So I encourage you to check that out, at least briefly, to see the potential. When we look at social work research, this is really the direction that social work research is heading, because surprise, surprise, we're learning that we don't have all the answers, and people in the community need to be fundamentally involved in forming the solutions that impact their own communities.